Kelly wrote in. Kelly said, "Hey guys, what's the longest you've driven in one trip?" So the way I'm answering this question, Lewis, is not the longest in a day, although we can certainly address that, but sort of what's the longest road trip you have done? Mine is going to be pretty underwhelming. Why don't we start with you, Lewis? I know you've done a fair bit of driving.
Yeah, well, one day, I'll answer the 1 day question too. I mean, 1 day would be maybe 8.5 hours driving.
Okay.
But one trip, when I moved to Austin, Texas, from Massachusetts, and then back, I did 2 little road trips there, and those were, other than going up and down the East Coast, this was longer. And
Oh yeah.
so, yeah, and so I don't know how many miles exactly, but not compared to some other people do with their trips around the country. No comparison, but still, it was a long one.
The longest trip I've ever been on is a single day trip, and it was from Massachusetts to Montreal. And I think it was, depending on traffic, it can be anywhere from 4.5 to 6 hours. That's the longest trip I've been on. Once it took me 6 hours to get from New York City back to Massachusetts. It was only 150 miles. It was just ludicrous traffic, unimaginable traffic. So time-wise, it felt quite long, but it actually distance-wise wasn't that long. I often have this idea that it would be great to do a cross-country trip and see all of these new states and whatever. But the more I visit a lot of the parts of the country that I wouldn't necessarily automatically think of as vacation places, I kind of realize a lot of the country is quite similar, and I don't feel the need to see every state or to check out so many areas. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe it's a lack of curiosity in my mind, but I'm not a big fan now of this idea. I used to romanticize doing a cross country trip. It's not that appealing to me right now. I don't think I need to do that.
Well, I wasn't too excited about it when I decided to go do it. But having been to many, many different states in different parts of the country, they really are quite different.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
And not just the geography or the climate, but the food, the people, the attitudes, the atmosphere. In some cases, you take yourself from Boston and then you put yourself in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Different country.
It's might as well be a different country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 2 long drives coming up. I have a wedding to go to in Pennsylvania in September, and then in May I have to go to Pennsylvania also for a graduation. And I think those are going to be, I think it's slightly longer than Boston to Montreal. And I'm not looking forward to it at all. I mean, I like driving as a general thing, but after you get on a highway and you've been on the highway for 40 minutes, I don't know about you, but I start to get pretty bored.
I don't. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to music, and if it is a nice drive,
Right.
it depends what you're looking at. If it's dull scenery, you're going to get bored more quickly.
I'm sorry I don't have a more exciting driving story. I did get rear-ended on one of my trips to Montreal on that bridge entering the city. Montreal is basically an island.
Yeah.
But still, Montreal, one of my favorite spots in the Northeast to head to.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I haven't been there in a long time though.